Okay, so today we are discussing and learning about the Parshat Miketz, which is um, sort of the second part of the Joseph story. Um, this in this story, Joseph is remembered to Pharaoh, where Pharaoh interprets has his dreams interpreted by Joseph. Um, and then Joseph is offered the position of of sort of the grand poobah of economics and the world of Egyptian politics, and becomes advisor to Joseph. I mean sorry, Pharaoh. And a little bit later in that story, he reconnects with his brothers through their seeking of um, food, and going to what I see as Joseph's food pantry to sustain their families. And there's all kinds of trickery that goes on during that time. So I want to focus in a little bit. I mean, the there's some interesting things written about Joseph, being this interpreter. And I couldn't help but think about whether or not one of our world leaders would look to a dream interpreter to help them guide them in the way to the world should work, but I don't think that's happening these days. Um, but the next part, where Joseph becomes Pharaoh's advisor, he becomes an Egyptian. His name changes to Zapenath Paneah, which in Egyptian, we don't know what that means. In Hebrew, um, one of the commentators thinks it means pursuer of secrets, or something about secrets, which is interesting. Um, and he assimilates. He marries somebody who is the daughter of the high priest um, of the god, I think it's Ra, the sun god. And he shows an acceptance of the culture of Egyptian life. We hear about that through the fact that his brothers did not recognize him. He was dressed in Egyptian clothing. He became an Egyptian, and it brought up all kinds of things for me. The idea that I struggle with the idea of assimilation versus um, staying within your community to marry and things like that. There is, especially among the um, Orthodox community, an anathema to, or fear of, intermarriage. And it's a it is something. I mean, personally, I'm intermarried. I have a husband who is not Jewish. um, and it I just wonder if Joseph's really deep dive into Egyptian culture, which I believe he had to do in order to maintain this position, has him asking, who am I? That he has two identities. Or does he? Perhaps he really does become Egyptian. I mean, we don't expect those who are converts to Judaism to be asking, who am I? We feel that they are Jewish. That we're told that we have to um, not make not point out when somebody is a convert, that somebody who converts is Jewish, and that's it. Um, but Joseph is living in two cultures, and this is something that's very true this time of year for us as assimilated Jews in the world of the United States. We had a lovely Hanukkah party yesterday, and but we have kind of, what's the word, we lean towards um finding ways to make our celebration part of the culture that we live in, and to um, I guess almost perhaps years ago, make it acceptable for those who are not Jewish to find a commonality that's like with decorations and with um, having parties and with giving of gifts. So we've also created this being in two worlds. And who can resist wanting to celebrate? I mean, we are bringing light to the world. That is sort of the mission. I mean, Hanukkah is a holiday about freedom, but it's also our mission to bring light into the world, which probably was from the idea that it falls during the solstice. It falls when we are um, at the darkest time of the year. So, I mean, even I'm having my colleagues over for on the solstice, where we'll light candles and we'll say blessings and eat. And um that is so that's what was in my mind. I Let me just see my other notes. I like to sometimes look at the things that aren't said. So and try to, in my mind, create a midrash of what that is. So um, the in the last part of the Joseph story, and then I want to open it up and have you guys share all the things on your mind, is that this reconnection to his brothers, brought up all these questions for me. We hear of the positive feelings of Joseph, that he has forgiveness. I mean, although his actions speak otherwise at the beginning. And I want to know about Joseph's struggle with forgiveness, and if he really does truly forgive his brothers, and what's going through his mind in terms of, implementing their they're being jailed and things like that. I would love to see a movie that creates, or read a screenplay that creates the dialogue between him and his brothers, and the thoughts that are in his mind. And um, I'm not a screenwriter, so I'd have to leave that to somebody else. And finally, there's Benjamin. So I also want to imagine or write a play about Benjamin's relationship to his father and to his brothers. His brothers seem to, we don't hear of them harboring any negative feelings towards Benjamin. Did Is that because maybe he was raised by Leah because Rachel died in childbirth, or did Jacob favor him like he did Joseph? Um, or do the brothers actually have brotherly love for him? Um, and did Rachel raise him? And I'm not clear on whether or not Joseph really knows that his mother has died in childbirth. I can't remember, and I did not have time to go dig. If Benjamin was born before, well, he must not. I don't think his mother died before he was thrown into a pit and sent away, but maybe she did. Ellen, you might know the answer to this. And um, so this is stuff that goes through my head. And then the final thing is, when Joseph became this right hand person to Pharaoh, why did he not send a message? Because you could have sent a message to his father that he was living. Was he really, really cutting off his ties? And then that goes back to the whole assimilation. So please, Bavakasha, share your thoughts and feelings. I don't have any words of wisdom. I just wanted to open up lots of doors for you to think about.